But this is a blue-red Kiki-Jiki deck with Brineborn Cutthroat. This is not the section, not the right list. Hold on. This was the original one. Like, I don't like Pestermite very much in this format for Lava Dart reasons. And only 2 Archmage's Charm felt like way too few Archmage's Charms. Not really a ton, though, I don't think. I mean, there's Witch's Cottage, right? But then your mana's really, really tough. Oh, sorry, Gingerbread Cabin. The other one. I'm going to shock on turn 1 here. Brineborn seems to have Pestermite make more sense in a vacuum. This deck is not super in on the combo. Suspends Lotus Bloom. Found a good Cutthroat matchup, I guess. Can maybe save the opt to trigger Cutthroat. I think that's probably fine. This is probably an incredible matchup. Go deck tech for Ghost. Missing Force of Negation 75. Unsure what to cut 2 or 3 for them. One thing is, I think you like definitely want 4 Sideboard Witch. Who's like so light on win conditions. Playing 3 feels wild. Being in on just Sideboard Witch is kind of interesting. Like just not playing another threat. I kind of feel like at least 2 Gurmag Anglers are probably good. Although it is certainly true that if that's your plan, your Unearths are worse. But Unearth also seems like a pretty inconsistent card in these decks anyways. If you want to play 2 Force of Negations, maybe just cut the... Kind of tough. You cut Snapcaster number 3. Sorry, Snapcaster number 4. The Spell Snare. Kolaghan's Command number 2. All seem like cuts. Or cuttables. I guess I didn't need to shock there, sorry. Just cast this and have 7 points of damage, and they can't go off at instant speed anymore. Minus 200 plus 2 forces. You could do that too, yeah. But I also think you need 4 Sedgemoor Witch. Only playing 3 is kind of madness to me. Pact of Negation, my Brineborn Cutthroat card is good, I guess. You've been playing this deck a lot lately, and Pestermite just feels better than Arcsark. Are you playing Magic Online or Paper? Because I just... In Paper, there's roughly 1 million Lava Darts, you know? And there's a lot of Lightning Bolts, too, right now. And obviously, that's the big difference, but... And obviously, it's going to be matchup dependent, too. But playing, at least on Magic Online, playing Pestermite over Exarch feels like madness. So I think let's cut the bolts for Disputes and Blood Moons. Not that Disputes that good, I guess. MTGO no paper on you. Well, we can agree to disagree, and that'll be fine. Probably keep this in the draw. What's the difference between Pestermite and Exarch besides power toughness? It's just power toughness, but I honestly can't imagine registering Pestermite right now. It's not even like it's like a 3-1 or anything. It's still a 2-1. Is Cutthroat better than Sprite Dragon in this build? You know what? Probably not. Yeah, I would say that Sprite Dragon is also probably better. Although you can trigger Cutthroat off of Snapcaster, Exarch. Still think Dragon is a bit better. Could be wrong. I could be really impressed by Cutthroat. I'm not sure. We'll see. I would like to be really impressed by it. I'd play Corridor Board over Pestermite. Me too, I think. What was that? A chance to do $5 for Da Vinci's deck tech? Sure thing. Wish you could Deceiver Exarch Gemstone Mine and remove the counter. Would be pretty cool. Yeah, the flash is pretty nice. It's also really easy to play against Ad Nauseam and feel like Brineborn Cutthroat is great, but it's also like I can't imagine a better matchup for Brineborn Cutthroat than Ad Nauseam. Hunter, 13 months, appreciate you. Welcome back. Yeah, you could maybe just not play discard spells also in the Sedgemoor Witch deck. That's certainly been something I've been trying to figure out. You can maybe just not play. You could be like 3 to 5, maybe. I think it's good to counter this. Bad if the top card of our library is Kiki-Jiki, though. Yeah, Exarch does not blow up Gemstone Mine. I just said I wish that you could do that. Is that not what I said? I'll just play 2 Exarchs here. Could be good though. Could be actually better to hold one because of Force of Negation. We'll see if this works. Which it just doesn't. Yeah, I don't think the extra Exarch matters that much when we have Force in our deck, and we might like tap a Lotus Bloom or something. I guess I should probably opt here. I don't even feel like I can keep another Cryptic. They're just so unwieldy. So I guess we can remand this Lotus Bloom and tap a land with Exarch, well, or draw an Archmage's Charm, which is way better. Gruul Cabin. Well, yeah, I know that you've been working on this deck for a while. Z-Bug, 8 months. Thank you for your resubscription. Appreciate ya. I like the Farseeks, I think. I'm not sure. They seem good. Trying to Torch of Defiance is a bit weird, especially if you like exile your Mirror of Fate, you just lose, right? Solve the Equation is also... I'm not sure that Solve the Equation is better than Omen of the Sea. I know that you only have 4 Awakenings, but... I guess you have a lot of stuff at 2 mana. I'm just not sure. It could be better. But Solve the Equation, just not only is it a very slow card, it also like gives your opponent like perfect information about how to play against you. Well, I guess getting Veil in sideboard games is pretty good. Force of Vigor is something, I guess. Yeah, I don't think I like the Chandras in this deck. I don't think the Chandras make a ton of sense. Not like necessarily sure what you're supposed to play instead, I guess. I think I'll counter this Lotus Boom with Cryptic. Cryptic is just so unwieldy. Like it's really easy to lose to Ad Nauseam if you just never cast your Cryptic commands. You just wanted another win con. I mean, your win con I think is really good. I just don't think that you're winning very many games with. I don't think you're gonna win very many games with Chandra. You're not a very good control deck. Am I still tinkering with Simic Urza? A little bit, yeah. I like the last version we played. The last version we played was good. Man, I haven't Kiki comboed in so long. Yeah, the list with Karn was the one I liked. With Chalice too. I think it felt pretty good. So let's get our opponent down to 1 life. So that's 6 power, 7 power. Save targets. I believe it's a new object each time and you can't save targets. Am I wrong about that? You play Karn and get something we could creativity with. Yeah, I mean you can creativity like you're like a Tormod script, you know. Karn seems okay, yeah. You're a ramp deck too. Karn can also be an alternate win con. Yeah, I don't mind Karn. Not sure how like important your sideboard is. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Devin, 10 months. Thank you for your resubscription. Appreciate ya. You can save targets on the Kiki. Let's see. Well, it's not that many clicks. So now I'm not going to fight over the blooms. Just to keep 2 counter spells up. No, opponent already cast Angel's Grace. So we can copy Snapcaster Mage and bounce that after dealing my opponent lethal damage. Tap all their mana at upkeep. Cryptic Command doesn't tap lands. It would maybe tap their Lotus Bloom. Or you're saying copy this, tap the Bloom. They just concede. Well, that was like as good a mashup as you could possibly ask for, probably. So if we can play against that 4 more times, I'm feeling very confident that we'll 5-0. Can Angel's Grace prevent life total from going below 1 if life lost instead of damage? Yes. Angel's Grace says on the card you don't lose the game that turn. No, tapping down their Bloom and upkeep is with the Exarch in hand is bad, but copying the Exarch tapping is good. But casting the one from hand and only having 1 counter spell up to tap the Bloom seems like madness. Basic Plains. A formidable card to be sure. Found 1 land, still need 1 more. Oh, I see Ghost. Can someone explain why Cutthroat is in this deck? Well, it's donation deck Thursday. I don't think Cutthroat's that good, I agree. But I could be wrong, and I would like to be wrong. Because I want to play a Sedgemoor Witch deck. The card actually hasn't seemed that bad so far, but we've also only played against Ad Nauseam, which is one of like the best possible Cutthroat matchups ever. Is this like Heliod with a terrible keep? Looks like it. I think I'm just countering this. I guess we could go Snap Ups. Trigger Cutthroat twice. If we could find a land, we get to Bolt with Charm Up. It's probably better.
Maybe. I need to make an 87 or higher on this test to make an A in the class.
Easy. Easy.
I got an 82 last time, and I feel like I missed whole multiple regressions, so I feel like
Yeah, it'll be easy. Is it today, right?
Yes, tonight. Yeah.
Easy. Yeah, the matchup's Brineborn Shine when your opponent just doesn't do anything on the first 2 turns, and you can actually cast your Brineborn Cutthroat. Yeah, Flash it does seem pretty good in this deck, I agree. I cannot deny it's been a good showing for Brineborn Cutthroat thus far. It's time to brine. Well, my opponent has Coco, but we've got a counterspell for it. I guess I'll play around, well, if they have a Path plus Coco, we beat that anyways, and we can only cast 1 counterspell on our turn. I have a weird concession. Not even casting the Coco. Not a ton on the side for this matchup. Hey, Pablo. Don't think Remand's that good against them, TBH. Kind of don't hate the Sinkhole either. Smith this. Well, nice. It is nice that we don't scoop to infinite life, of course. Cuts off fetches and Ranger Captain, yes, of course. When did Mage 2 spoilers start? Sometime soon, I think. Is it today? Week of May 17th. Okay, not 11 days from now, but they're doing something earlier. Yeah, Ashiok comes in every matchup, but you also never main deck it. Could we keep this? They bolt a 6. 5:30 EST on the Twitch Magic channel.
We've drawn Tarmogoyf. We have all of our colors. I know, right? Everything's going right this game. This game that our opponent mulliganed to 4 didn't cast a spell. You know, it's all good when it comes together, you know?
Yeah. Too real, Jim. Too real. Why am I not playing a Temur Triome to untap with Arbor Elves that I steal? Hopefully this is just like Archmage champion. Ranger Captain's probably the best thing they can play. Captain's just so good against us. Oh, Captain, my Captain. They do get Ballista, as they usually do, of course. Yeah, not having a bolt for the elves does stink as well. Played a Jeskai Triome and Grixis Luris and still a Wild Nakata will make the game. It's funny. It's really funny. I think we're just going to upkeep Tappa Temple Garden and not feel very good about it. Stinks to not have a third blue. This is the one land of the deck that doesn't cast Charm, and we have 3 Cascade Bluffs. Maybe should have 4. Cascade Bluffs really nice with Kiki as well. We know they have an Arbor Elf in their hand because we bounced it. We know they have Walking Ballista. We don't know the other 2 cards. One of them's a Spike Feeder. I will offer the gentleman's agreement to my opponent. But we also don't have like very many outs because they could just sack their captain. So if we block, they can move a counter over to Ranger Captain. So I guess we don't block. Cascade Bluffs. Alright, so if they don't have a land, Exarch tapping does stop them from killing us here. And then if they offer the same attack they offered last turn with Ranger Captain, we can block, and if they move the counter from Feeder over, they die to the Kiki-Jiki. Interesting, you probably don't beat Infinite Life of MTGO since they can click to make life faster than click Exarchs. I don't know, I'm up a game. I guess that's true. But it becomes weird because if they spend like 15 minutes gaining life, I'll just go to game 3, and then they can't do that for game 3, you know? But you're not wrong. But now they don't have infinite life anymore, and so infinite damage wins at this point. Oh, they're good. They get it back with the Heliod activation, though. Okay, fair enough. Good play. Oh, we win. We do the Cutthroat. Sick. If we find a bolt and my opponent doesn't have a land, we can win. And then draw a land after that to Kiki combo. Game 3. Get to be on the play for game 3, which is really nice. So the play, I think we're going to get all the remands back in the deck. Probably cutting the gusts. Sinkhole seems a bit worse on the play too. Yeah, we know they have Ballista in their hand. They tutored it with Ranger Captain, so they deal infinite damage. And infinite damage is greater than our infinite life. I kind of don't hate this hand. Just draw an Exarch gamer. Put out with the nut draw, turn 1 mana dork. Sadly, no bolt again. No one to blame but myself. Remand anything. Can I draw something to do this turn? No. Cannot. No one to blame but myself again. Can I brew a deck that lets me buy a PS5? Dude, I've also been trying to get one. It's just never gonna happen. I remember when some of the bigger streamers I watched were like when the right on time to see your Exarch. I remember when some of the bigger streamers I watch, the PS5 was coming out, and they didn't want to spend like $200 extra from the scalpers that were in the chat offering them a PS5 because they just wanted to buy it retail, not knowing how bad this shortage would be. It's really funny in retrospect. It's like hard to find a PS5 that's not $1,000. Maybe we should bounce the Spike Feeder. This is a bit better against Veil to draw a card. They could definitely have Veil. Just also any piece of interaction is really nice. Spike, you still looking for a PS5? Yeah, I am. Is this an offer? Trade deal? You get a PS5. I get money. It's gonna cost me my firstborn. You guys remember that there's a scene in Futurama where the robot devil offers Bender something in exchange for his firstborn, and he's just like, deal. Easy deal. And then he goes to his robot child, who's like, Dad, you did come back. See if they have a path. I think we're supposed to jam. They don't usually play a ton of paths. We also we did show them Cutthroat earlier. No path has been cast yet. Are they going to test my counting skills? No, they're just going to path at the incorrect time. Trade. That's probably a bad attack. Yeah, it's a great scene. Don't worry about a ghost. I'll find one. If you had one, it'd be different, but I don't want you to have to like reach out and waste your time and not be able to find one. Seems to me like Tavern plus Gravity X equals 2 should be able to be broken. The combo is so insane. It's very not easy to be interacted with. I mean, it's still a 5 mana combo, you know. It's 5 mana, and your mana base is really tough as well in the Cabin Creativity deck. Just broken, I don't think is accurate. How do you prevent the token and still kill Kiki, not the Exarch? How do you prevent the token and still kill Kiki not Exarch? Oh, I guess they did path at the right time, right? Yeah, never mind. So I'm going to block the Skyclave here. Go down to 3 life, which is not a lot of life. I'll read Spike Feeder now for the first time. Get a bit greedy here, but I think we need to get a bit greedy to win anyways. Then we can opt for bolts. If we can find a bolt, we're in good shape, I think, or at least solid shape. Okay, wish granted. So if we bolt here, my opponent's going to remove a counter from Spike Feeder to put a counter over there. So I guess we bolt this one first, and then just move the counters over to... I think we still do this. Tough spot for sure. Remand your own bolt. Kind of like the thought. The problem is the bolt doesn't do too much here, right? Yeah, I need to snap bolts this turn. With Remand up. Block both of their guys, and then bolt one of them to kill it. The feeder. Remand bolt, bolt Skyclave. If we bolt Skyclave, they just remove a counter from Spike Feeder and save the Skyclave from the Heliod. We'd have remanded into snap bolts. Yeah. I think that this is better. They're playing a spell. There's a lot of spells here that we can never ever beat, so we'll see if it's anything. Is that a card we can never ever beat? I think it is. Yeah, I guess what we have to do is... Well, I guess we can snap bolt this Skyclave after it resolves. Do I want to remand this? We can snap bolt this Skyclave, make a 2/2, chump. It's not that good. We can let this resolve, snap bolt this Skyclave, and play out this Snapcaster as a chump blocker. It's also not that good, but we get to double block one of the 4/4s here. Remand it. If we remand it, we're not in very good shape. Can't they protect Skyclave with Spike Feeder? Well, if they do, they shrink their Skyclave into tradable territory. Even if you snap bolt, won't they just move the counters? Well, the thing is, if we block and we snap bolt Spike Feeder, then my opponent, we get to kill the Spike Feeder because there's 2 damage on it. The problem is if we remand this, they replay the Skyclave, exile this, we go snap bolt the Skyclave again, double chump. We're just not in very good shape. We can get the Skyclave off the field if we play out the other Snapcaster as a chump blocker. It's a bit spewy. It also means that my opponent, if they just have any other spell, we get got so badly. This is game 3. Oh, Heliod becomes a creature, which I guess we're also not... Still not technically dead. We can go Snap Bolt this Skyclave. I guess we lose if they just move the Heliod counters over. Now that this is a creature, actually. Yeah. Now that the Heliod is a creature, this line loses. Forgot about this. I mean, it was always going to be a creature here. Let's make them see it. They see it. We're dead. 1-1. Another 1-land hopped hand. This one's on the play. This hand's really good if we can rattle off 2 lands. It's in the back though. Go back one of the 2 force. Play Misty, pass. Ooh, I didn't think there's anything I'd be forcing. I would have forced the Shriekhorn. Oops. Petty Theft did force it back on the way down. I don't think so. I wonder what our Dread matchup is like. We don't have a ton of graveyard hate. We have a couple Ashioks, have the Platinum package, and also have our Infinite Combo. Alright, they've bricked on their first 2 Shriekhorns, which is really, really good for us. Very lucky. Dredge is awful? Probably. I don't know. We have an Infinite Combo. I think that there's a lot of games we'll win just by Kiki comboing. The Dredge usually does beat up on blue decks, yeah. Usually beats up on me. Yeah, we just need Brineborn Cutthroat to come in and save us, of course. It's a good draw. Yeah, obviously not good to counter Shriekhorn. They're just going to keep bricking with it. They did find a Golgari Thug. That's okay. They had 2 Imps and a Loam. Maybe I shouldn't be remanding this, since Remand is a really, really high value spell in this matchup. And Archmage's Charm costing 3 mana is probably a bit more important. That being said, if we draw a land, we get to Cryptic next turn. I think I like the Remand over the Archmage's Charm, but I'll agree that it's a conversation. Okay, so they finally have hit good cards. They hit a Narcomoeba, Creeping Chill, and a Prized Amalgam. And I guess that's it. They also have Cathartic Reunion back in their hand, which we can counter here. But they get to discard their Amalgam. Oh, sorry. I thought this was a second Amalgam. I keep up this for the Conflagrate or Snap Opt if they don't go for it. Oh, Creeping Chill. Oh, Creeping Chill. What were they thinking when they designed you? Still not out of it yet. I'm gonna keep Kiki-Jiki. We have to Kiki combo somehow, and I think with only 2 Kiki-Jikis in the deck, I don't think I could afford to bottom. Step 1. I think I'll probably tap draw here. If they Conflagrate, it's going to be for 4, which is not great. I'd also take the trade of Narcomoeba for Snapcaster here. And if they Conflagrate me for 4 down to 5, we're down to 2 Creeping Chills, but there's only 1 Creeping Chill left in the deck, right? Because they discarded 1 to hand size. See if they kill my Snapcaster. If they don't, I can start copying Snapcaster with Kiki-Jiki. They do kill the Snapcaster. Heads up play for sure. Okay, so they do have 1 Creeping Chill left in the deck. I think we probably just wait here. Will I play Legacy times? I do play Legacy from time to time. I played Legacy at the only Pro Tour you could ever play Legacy at, and I had a blast doing so. But I haven't played it on stream in a while, and I've been mostly more interested in Modern for a while now. But this is not a no Modern ever stream. Keep a land so we can snap Cryptic, I guess. Winning this game would be really, really cool. The Hidden Ox of Agnas. Oh, they also Conflagrate. Wait, Conflagrate's actually fine if they cast it right now, though. Since we're at 4. I think I have to tap draw, though. I don't think I can bounce Snapcaster, because if we just wait a turn, they're going to be able to Conflagrate us to death. And so I was kind of hoping we could draw like land plus Kiki or Exarch. Now we can't draw land plus Exarch. So we're probably dead. You may try some Nexus deck in Modern. Yes, I may. Alright. They did use their Conflagrate, so we need to draw another Cryptic. Unfortunately. Exarch just doesn't get the job done. Fortunate. They might deck out. May not at this point in the game. Just dead. That being said, we do have a reasonable number of sideboard cards, and the combo I think is good. Usually dislike Archmage's Charm. Although Charm is maybe better than Brineborn Cutthroat. Kek W. Play 3 Charm, no Cutthroat. Yeah, Cutthroat just doesn't seem that good to me. I don't know. At the very least, this doesn't feel like the metagame for Cutthroat. Bummer to mulligan Ashiok. Okay, we're on 5 cards. What would our hand look like if we kept this? Probably has to look like this. Opponent mulls to 4. Is Dredge good right now? I think it's okay. I think Dredge is okay at the moment. Would I run over Cutthroat? I would probably be playing Crackling Drake maybe in that slot. You could also play like 2 Pestermite and then another Kiki, just be like all in on the combo. Yikes. Well, that's freebie, I guess. Nice to have a free. I don't know. I can't describe how good this is for us. How do we not keep the Force of Negation going into an effective 4, being able to counter their first enabler? I mean, going to the effective 4 on the play feels really sketchy to me. And we can also we have a decent chance of opting into a 2-mana counterspell on the play, or just digging for Madcap Experiment. But just being in on 3 lands and like using your Force of Negation and just being in all in on 3 lands just doesn't feel that good to me. Can gain control of the Deafening Silence. Well, we didn't know that they were going to be going to 4 or 5 when we mulliganed. We only knew they had mulliganed once. I think it was fine to keep the Force, but I think this is a little bit better. Yeah, I think you ought to play the Madcap package in the board of the stack in this current metagame. Twice, right? No, we were on the play, so we mulliganed first. So we mulled a 6, they mulled a 6, and then we have the next decision. And we don't know if they're going to go to 5 or not. Well, they'll be bringing in Artifact Hate for game 3. But 4 mana win the game was nice. Please don't take Deafening Silence out of your deck. It's so good against me. Please, please, please leave Deafening Silence in. Is this a combo deck? Yes. If you get Kiki-Jiki, the Mirror Breaker, and Deceiver Exarch in play at the same time, you make infinite hasty Deceiver Exarchs and attack. Yeah, I'd say the Madcap experiment plan is so good right now. Wait, hold on. How long was that sideboarding? I feel like that sideboarding was really quick. I don't think that they brought in. I don't think they changed their sideboard plan, did they? Am I wrong? I think that sideboarding was just like 2 seconds for game 3. I think they must have left in deafening silence, right? Or am I misremembering it? It all happened so fast. They added 2 cards. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They're around 60. Yeah, maybe they did do it quickly. Land would be really nice. If not, we can have some ops. Opt is basically Abundant Harvest, but worse. See if they have a land for their Bloodghast. Deceiver Exarch does block Bloodghast pretty well. If they loam, we should probably force pitching Cryptic. Although we should opt before we force. Get a little more info. Bottom that. Could be better to save the force for the Madcap experiment now that we have it. Especially if my opponent is sandbagging a land here. But just like maybe stranding the Bloodghast for a turn or 2 would be pretty good. Haven't found a third land yet. Unfortunate, whatever. I'm looking for a deck that is cracked. Any suggestions? The Bring to Light Lurrus control deck, I think, is certainly cracked. No play. Untap for us. Worst draw on the deck. Yikes. Yeah, Abundant Harvest, if somehow we're a blue card, would be better than Opt this game. Maybe Abundant Harvest is just actually going to be Modern staple. I really want to cast the card. I'm very excited to cast it. Second Empyrean? Ah, unlucky to not draw the second Empyrean. Looks like we are dead. I mean, if we just draw 1 land, or, you know, ideally 2, I guess. Into another land, we get to Madcap. And maybe my opponent has an answer for it, and maybe they don't. So if they replay the Bloodghast pre-combat, I'll tap a Bloodghast in combat, then be able to block the other one. If they loam, I'm not going to do anything about it. Yeah, so do we have historic gamers in the chat? Or is Abundant Harvest just actually, now that you guys have been playing with it for a month or so, is it just going to be a modern staple? Does anybody know? Because the more and more I think about it, the more I like it. It's gross. It seems fine. Yeah, it seems fine too. Obviously, modern is also a higher power level format too, but not by that much anymore. All right. You have an Ancient Grudge in your hand? Where was the news that Harvest is getting added to Modern? They when Strixhaven was announced, they announced that like Abundant Harvest was the only brand new card from Strixhaven, and they announced that it was a Modern Horizons card being pre-printed into Modern through Strixhaven's Mystical Archive thing. Best cantrip most non-control decks will have. Yeah. I mean, it's not in Modern yet, but it's going to be in Modern. It is in Modern Horizons too. It's obviously one of the weirdest cards ever, as far as when it was printed. Oh, I'll play around Ancient Grudge. Wait, why would they let me block? Just hoping I mess up. of double Lightning Axe. And double Lightning Axe kills Empyrean anyways. Well, thanks for the free 2 life while I'm at 5. Sure hope my opponent cited out all their creeping chills. Trying to figure out a game plan here. I think we get in. We're either gonna, you know, beat up on the Bloodghast with a second Exarch here, or Cryptic Command. Probably second Exarch. And we also can never beat the card Creeping Chill this game. So we have to hope my opponent cited them out, and they just have Deafening Silences, which they showed us game 2, that they actually boarded in Deafening Silence. Alright, so let's tap the Narcomoeba, be able to block the Bloodghast. That guy from FNM, 2 months, welcome back. Appreciate you. They also don't have a land in their hand to bring back their Bloodghast from the yard, which is... I mean, they could have loamed, right? Cast their, like, Golgari Thug. And Amoeba. I don't have any lightning bolts in my deck at the moment either, which makes things tougher. But they don't know that, so this block, you know, makes some sense, right? And then, so we can actually, you know, not use our Cryptic yet. We can, I mean, we'll be dead to 1 Creeping Chill, but I'm actually just hoping my opponent is new and cited on all their chills. That is my plan. They've brought in Leyline of the Void and Deafening Silence, and Ancient Grudge. I think that a lot of new players will cut Creeping Chills. And I think experienced players know you probably just never ever cut any number of that card. They chose not to get back Bloodghast. So if they get being at 2 and 3 is not that different here, I think. And so we can kind of make them fetch and lose a life here if they want to attack profitably. Deceiver Exarch beats. All in. Mostly all in, I guess. Probably to win this game, we'll have to draw maybe a land now to go Snap Cryptic next turn. Opponent could win by fetching. We get to block a Bloodghast, so they could put me to 2 life by fetching, which is not 0. Throwing their Narcomoebas. Oh, I hate this fetch. Why would you fetch now? And fail to find! Oh my gosh. I can't believe it. Our opponent's giving us so many favors this game. It's unreal. We might still lose, of course. They haven't found an Ox or another Conflagrate yet. Or a first Conflagrate, actually. 1 Bloodghast from the fetch, plus 2 from Narcomoeba. 2 of the Narcomoebas were summoning sick. I mean, that doesn't explain why they didn't fetch. They obviously didn't realize that they didn't have another fetchable. They wouldn't just fetch and lose a life. It wasn't like a big brain play. No! Oh shit! Damn it. Okay. I'm just gonna leave it there. It's fine. I hate Creeping Chill. So that means there's chill in their deck too. Okay, they're at 5 though. If they hardcast Creeping Chill, we could just force it, snap Cryptic, attack for 5. I guess they might have a creature to block with. They could put Krill and Ship. No, Golgari Thug only puts creatures on top. But of course, they hit the Creeping Chill on turn 12. Oh, gosh.
Are you okay?
Yeah. I want to see how funny it is. I feel like it's probably a good moment.
Yeah, I want to see too.
This is just Misery the League. Now we're playing against Lantern Control. No, I didn't have any Saddleback Legax to put up there. I'll keep an Exarch.
I don't know where my other claws are.
I don't know either. I think they're...
Because you used my good ones. These were mine. I thought you were going to use the ones that I didn't use.
I don't know which ones you use. They're exactly the same.
No, they're not.
What's different about them?
These have been opened up by my hands. The others are squished together.
Broken in.
Yeah, they're broken in.
I use the clip. Like a big brain play. No! Oh shit! It wasn't like a big brain. It's a good moment. Let's pass back. Yeah, all combo league. Played against Ad Nauseam, Keck W, into Heliod, into Dredge, into Lantern. Oh, my face cam is holding the clip face down. Oops. This shuts off my combo. I think it's okay. Probably not comboing this game. Maybe we are actually. I don't know. I feel like we just beat down with our dorks. Game over. We drew Cutthroat. Wait, why isn't Cutthroat just a ley line that enters play on turn 2 for 0 mana? I thought that's how it worked. Take my Cutthroat over my cold dead body. Yeah, Zach Elswick did beat Brian Bronduin, I think, in the top 8 of GP Oklahoma City with Lantern. Beat Splinter Twin. I think it was BBD. I'm not 100% sure. Want to see what happened to Fran yesterday? I missed this. We're gonna have plenty of time to look at clips this match.
Love to see it when your opponent just, for whatever reason, refuses to back it in. Now we can really show them that we're not in the business of conceding early either.
So he's gonna get what's the card called? Price of Progress tier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 life.
If you wanna not concede opponent, I will take it.
And he's waiting for him to
If you wanna not
tap out of
concede,
Reclaimer, so he's not dead to
will
Price of
definitely
Progress.
take it. More zombies.
Or sorry, he is dead to Price of Progress.
More
Yeah.
Valorant triggers. More you dead.
I did have the advantage of knowing that this was a clip. And that something was gonna happen. 2 mana, 10 damage. It's pretty good. Above rate, I'd say. Yeah, just good content. Milling me so aggressively. Having some fun today. Having some laughs. The fan, I can feel more of the breeze from the fan because there's not the giant easel behind me anymore. I'm so glad that the whole thing didn't just fall apart. I would have had my heart broken. So my opponent probably has Whir. Whir's kind of bad for us, right? But if we just like snap Remand Whir, it's not that good. I think we'll just play around it. Maybe they wait and we draw a land. Saved by the Cutthroat. Draw Force of Negation off the Remand too. Not triggering Cutthroat off of this is kind of an advantage too because of Bridge. Oh, oof. Don't worry. It's fine now. I, Brineborn Cutthroat, am here. So we have 2 Cryptics left in the deck. Our Kiki-Jiki is needled. They're milling me very aggressively. It's probably fine. The Castle Vantress is nice as well if we can just draw 1 more land. Our Deceiver Exarch is not likely going to be impactful in any way. But I don't really see any reason to not cast it here. Do you have Ancient Grudges? No, of course not. There, you will find nothing here but pain. Sword of the Meek. Okay, well, I'm going to bolt them, and then a Cryptic Command off the top is lethal. Woo, boy! Oh my gosh. Exact. Oh, not Exact. He's 1 over. Did I watch Yasuke on Netflix? Me and us just have 1 more episode. I feel like we like the show, but I feel like the first 3 episodes were really good. I feel like the last 2 we've watched have been like a big rush. Not a huge critique, I guess. The first 3 episodes of Yasuke were really, really good, and then the last 2 I felt really, really weird and rushed. And there's been some like really good dialogue and like some well-written scenes that just don't hit as hard as you know that they could have hit if there had been more time for development. Yeah, Twin used to splash green for Ancient Grudge. Are we doing that? Are we splashing green for Ancient Grudge? The best reason to splash green is so you can have a Temur Triome when you steal your opponent's Arbor Elf with Archmage's Charm. You'll you'll have a forest to untap. No, you might think it'd be Veil, but it would actually be to untap forest with Archmage's Charm. Spire of Industry. Yeah, we have Brineborn Cutthroat, the only good card in the deck. So, easy keep. Steam Vents on top. I'd like to draw Steam Vents. Raise, 727, thank you for your subscription. Hopefully my opponent doesn't take my Cutthroat. So if my opponent does have a Codex Shredder effect, they'll Shredder my Cryptic here. Please. Please, I'll do anything. Just don't take my Brineborn Cutthroat. Although I probably would, if they don't, even if they don't take Cutthroat, I will probably just like draw this Cryptic Command if I can, over playing the Cutthroat this turn. Yeah, the Cryptic is just so important to draw. We also know our opponent has Ensnaring Bridge in hand. They have their own Ashiok on top. But if we draw this Dispute, their Ashiok's not going to be that good, probably. They didn't play their Ensnaring Bridge, so it kind of seems like they have Whir for 1 here. And they should cast it now. I'm still going to cast the Cutthroat. Oh, a reasonable answer. I'm going to get a basic land. I think you could maybe make an argument for not, but I don't think you can make a good argument for not getting a land there. I don't think the Dispute is so good that you would ever want to just not get a land. Witchbane Orb has no text in the matchup. I guess actually, no, it does stop the Ashiok minus. But I slided out my bolts. I want to draw the land so we can snap Cryptic. Want to draw the Exarch too. In fact, I mean, let's just go Exarch tap and untap Kiki-Jiki. Yeah, stealing Codex Shredder is actually probably really good in this matchup because Lantern is symmetrical. A little late Codex Shredder. Yeah, I don't think I want to use my charm here. Just scry. Cool. Defeat a Lantern. We have managed to go 3-2 or better with our last 2 leagues. Sounds good if we draw perfectly. I believe in the Merfolk Pirate, yeah. Opponent says that they're on Bant Spirits. Not something that you need to feel obligated to tell me if you're on what you're on. I can put like the Snapcaster. Is Klothos popular enough to also consider Deicide over Erase in your opinion or in general? Or am I still high in Erase? Well, I really think that Erase is a lot better against Ponza than Deicide, because just being able to erase Utopia Sprawl is really, really nice to be able to do. On the draw especially. And Erase also hits Blood Moon for 1 mana. Erase also hits Klothys for 1 mana. So I would say even that the Ponza matchup is a big reason to play Erase over Deicide. Let's not get our Cutthroat quellered. Surely they can't have a second Skyclave apparition, right? They've never had a second Skyclave in their life. Let's see how much they value their Wanderers, actually. Yeah, I mean, there's like no way they ever sack Wanderer there. Wanderer's just so good, but you never know. You never know. So I feel a Collected Company coming on. I'm hoping that I'm wrong about that. Oh, I am wrong about that. Sick. So we might just be able to Kiki combo. It's really nice that Kiki-Jiki avoids Spell Queller. So if they Spell Queller this Snapcaster Mage, probably just get a tapped Steam Vents and not bolt the Queller immediately. Are they just super flooded? They might have Path in their hands. It just seemed like they're very flooded. The Rattle Chains is also a card that they could be sandbagging because we haven't targeted any of their creatures with removal yet. We can just go ahead and draw 2 cards here. So they can't wander. Bottoming a land, yeah. We don't have the Kiki-Jiki yet. It's really bad if we draw a second land, I think. Okay, so I guess I'll bolt the Queller pre-combat. Or before damage. See if they want to sack the Wanderer. If they do have Rattle Chains, it's really bad. If they have Collected Company, we can force the Collected Company. They do have the Rattle Chains. Yeah, definitely a possibility with how the game's been playing. It's fine now. I, Brineborn Cutthroat, am here to save you. Well, we'll see if they have second Rattle Chains. I'm just going to draw 2. The nuts. Actual perfects. There's honestly not much they can have besides Path to beat this. So lucky. So a Petty Theft. Rattle Chains doesn't really matter which one we target. They could choose to trade Wander for it either way, so let's just not think too hard. Not use our very limited brain power on a decision that doesn't matter. Either way, they can trade Wanderer for the Petty Theft. Or not. They decide to go with or not. They could very easily have a Path in their hand as the one unknown, based on how this game has gone. But we beat Spell Queller. Oh, I didn't block this? Why didn't I? Oh, sorry. I didn't, like, I wasn't even thinking that they could attack with this. My post says I'm so dumb. I had lethal. I just totally blanked on the Skyclave block. So they play a land, we win. Awesome. Ugh, close game. They were 1 point short. Yeah, they flooded up pretty badly. I think we got lucky as far as that goes. Let's bring in these cards and the disputes, probably cutting the remands, the Force of Negations. Probably just trimming Cutthroats, honestly. Would have been good bait for Path if I had blocked Skyclave. What would have been good bait for Path? The blocker? Or just take the trade. They could make Spirit Token. They couldn't Rattle Chains plus Spirit Token for lethal, right? Is Archmage Charm that much better than Remand versus Fast deck? Archmage Charm is a lot better than Remand versus a deck with Cavern of Souls and Aether Vial. Archmage's Charm can steal Noble Hierarch, can steal Aether Vial, it can just kill a Mausoleum Wanderer, can draw 2 cards. Remand is really bad against spirits. I don't hate this hand. I don't really like it that much either. I think I'm going to keep. Obviously, if we just have a draw bolt, this hand's very strong, and if they're on a bit of a slower draw, I like this hand a lot. I wish I could Vancouver that to the bottom. What are you going to do? Smell a Rattle Chains. If I had Remand here, I could cycle it against the Rattle Chains. Cutthroat is leagues behind Goyf. It's maybe like a league behind Goyf. Neither are very good. Neither are very good these days. Yeah, I don't really want them to Spell Queller my Charm. Or maybe I do, actually. Yeah, I'm actually okay if they Spell Queller my Charm. But I want them to take their Vial up to 1 for me also, so that way I can tick it up a bit faster. It's a bit bad if they have a 1-drop in their hand, but they would have had to have drawn it and drawn this Vial, so it's not super likely. Trellon, thanks for the raid, buddy. We're finishing up our Dono deck Thursday here. With Kiki Cutthroat. A modern deck. If you like some mono blue Tron action, if you are a defector and favor the mono blue Tron side in this rivalry that's forming, check out Trellon. I hope they don't cast Coco into all this open mana. Yeah, I didn't think that they would, but they did. They have here, obviously. Kind of hoping to not see Skyclave. We can Go Bolt plus Sinkhole here. If they don't do this. Let's just kill their chains. Sad to lose the Vial, though. Before we could Vial on the Exarch for free. Definitely not a sign of strength to sack the Canopy. Wait, how? There's no way they sack Canopy, don't play a land. Makes more sense. Yeah, I think we just don't jam the Madcap into Queller, especially because they probably need to Queller the Exarch because they can't Queller Kiki-Jiki. And now we can Exarch that and force them to tap a land, and we can resolve a Madcap if they Queller the Exarch, or even if they don't. I guess it's probably just correct to cast it now. Oh, I tapped 1 too many mana for no reason. So yeah, so they can't Queller my Madcap anymore, which is good. Yeah, so also we just draw Kiki. There's not too much they can have to stop us, so I'll just jam that if I rip it off the top. I didn't. I drew a pretty dead Madcap experiment, but that's okay. Hopefully 1 to 8/8. Life total can't change is enough. We can also just draw 2 lands and cast another one. And so these spots become pretty weird. I've been in the spot a few times where they usually have a couple of outs to Empyreon. They probably have like 3-ish paths in their deck. And then it's like a waiting game. Do we draw our combo first? Do we get our second Empyreon in play? Do we just draw Cryptic Command, tap their team? Or can they break us our Empyreon up? And they can't do any of it. 3-2. Not too bad. You know, I really am not a believer in Brineborn Cutthroat. I was hoping to have my mind changed playing this deck today, but I just really wasn't too impressed by the card. I think that if you're going to play Kiki-Jiki, I think that you do want a secondary plan compared to your just Kiki-Jiki combo. I think that plan can either be Crackling Drake or Jace the Mind Sculptor are probably your best 2 options. Cutthroat just isn't it, I think. Like, the only game Cutthroat was good was like game 1 against Heliod where they just didn't do anything. Matt Save Months, appreciate your resubscription. Hope you're having a good day today. I did like the Madcap package and the sideboard. I think I'd play the 4th Cascade Bluffs too. It's just so good with the 4 charms and the Kiki-Jikis. Maybe play like the 1 Pestermite, 3 Kiki-Jikis or something like that to be more in on the combo too. And then play like 2 Crackling Drakes or a Jace or something. But that's going to do it for me today. I am liking the feel of just 3 donation decks. Like if I had to do a 4th one right now, I think I'd just be so tired. Dude, Jabberwocky is streaming?